Good morning. Hey, Emma. Hey, Q. Give everyone just a couple more minutes. Mhm. All right. Hey, Elijah, Reagan, Zach. All right. We are going to go ahead and get started. Hey, Colin. And the chapter ended, the boy is gone, the boy is gone. Chapter 41. The boy is gone, the boy is gone. Each morning they heard that refrain. Each afternoon, each evening, they heard that refrain. They heard it in the farmhouse, in the pasture, in the barn. The boy is gone, the boy is gone. Each morning, John woke early and slipped out to the porch, and as always, he was disappointed to see the empty chair. The boy is gone, the boy is gone. Marta woke in the middle of the night and went to the empty bed. The boy is gone. The beagle sniffed the farmhouse and the yard relentlessly, curling against objects that the boy had touched. The boy is gone. John and Marta strained at the sound of cars passing on the road below. Would this one bring the boy back? No vehicles turned into the drive. The boy. They sent cards and letters to the boy, and each day they checked the mailbox at the end of the drive for a reply from the father. But no reply came. And after a few weeks, their own letters began coming back to them, unstamped, unable to deliver, and no such address. The boy was gone. So they had written Jacob letters, and all of the letters were returned to John and Marta, saying that, the address that the father gave them was not a real address. Chapter 42. At the sheriff's office, John explained that the letters had been returned. Unable to deliver, John said. Is that right? Yes, and no such address. Is that right? Yes, he lied to us. The man lied to us. Maybe he just got the address wrong. That happens, don't it? We're worried about the boy. We should have never let him. You didn't have much choice, the sheriff said. But we never should have let. The boy wasn't yours. John wanted to say to the sheriff, how do you go on with your days when the boy is gone? You wake up, your feet feel heavy, your arms feel heavy, your head is so heavy you can barely hold it up. But then he knew what they had to do. They had to find the boy. Chapter 43. And so they set off for the town the father had mentioned, as they feared there was no such address as the one the father had given John and Marta. It was a straggly town with one filling station, a general store, and a diner. People looked at them blankly when John and Marta asked about the young boy and his father. Don't know who you're talking about, one waitress said. People come in here from off the road. Strangers, we don't keep track. Maybe they were here, maybe they weren't. They described Jacob more fully. They explained about the constant tapping. Lots of kids tap, don't they? I got a kid who pounds on everything in sight. John and Marta went to the nearest post office, the hospital, the school. Nothing. They returned home. When the sheriff said he had no luck investigating the trailer, John and Marta visited the property again. They spoke to the owners of the land, who said that a man and woman had rented the trailer for a few months. Yes, they had a young boy. The owners did not know where they had come from or where they went when they left. They skipped out on the rent, left in the middle of the night. So John and Marta are getting some clues here now. They know that a man and woman did rent the trailer. They know that a little boy lived in there. And they also learned that they said they skipped out on the rent, meaning they didn't pay to live there, and they left in the middle of the night. Chapter 44. When the first snow fell, Marta and John boxed up the boy's things, the paints and brushes and drums that the father would not let the boy take with him, and they moved them to the barn. The room they cleared out for the boy's bed gradually returned to its former usage as storage. The only visible daily reminders of the boy were the paintings on the barn walls. Maybe, Marta said one day, Jacob is painting a picture of our house, in our barn, and our animals, and our pasture. Maybe, John agreed, and it cheered him a little to think that the boy might be remembering them. And maybe he is making up a little tune right this minute, the way he did. Do you think so, John? Maybe. Another day, Marta said, the beagle hasn't been the same since Jacob left. Look at him. All he does is lie there. He's sad. He's a dog. He's not sad. Sure he is, John. Dogs can be sad just like people. Just like, maybe so. Marta lay awake at night trying to imagine what Jacob was doing. She made up scenes for him. There he is with his dog. I hope he has a dog. They're running around the yard. I hope they have a yard. There he is sitting on his bed. I hope he has a bed. He's playing the guitar. I hope he still has the guitar. And then John worried while he was driving. Some people shouldn't have kids. That father shouldn't have dropped Jacob off here without knowing us. What if we were bad people? What if he dropped Jacob off somewhere else where the people aren't good to him? That last thought made John so agitated, he had to pull over to the side of the road. He bent his head against the wheel. So it appears as if John and Marta are missing Jacob a lot, and they're very, very worried about him. Chapter 45. One Saturday, they returned to the park where Jacob and Lucy had played together, and there was Lucy swinging, and there was sitting on the bench, her face tilted toward the sun. Oh, she said when she saw Marta and John, what a great surprise. We wondered what had happened to you. We were worried. Marta explained the best she could. Oh, dear. Oh, my, how difficult. Oh, how could you bear it? There. The three adults sat for some time watching Lucy swing. At last, Lucy's mother said, I know exactly what you should do next. Chapter 46. On the way home, John said, I don't know the first thing about foster children. Me either, but Lucy's mom said those kids need good homes. I can't bear the thought that there are kids out there who don't have homes. Maybe we should talk to that Mrs. Floyd, that friend of Lucy's mother. She's in charge of placement? Yes, and we'd have to be interviewed and approved. John scowled. What if we don't pass? I'm not good at being interviewed. Me either. And what if we get a child who isn't happy with us? Or what if we don't like the kid? Of course we'll like the child, John. How could we not like a child? You never met my cousin's kids. Won't it be hard if we just have the child for a few months and then he's gone again? Won't that be like losing Jacob all over again? That's the part I'm worried about, John admitted. Maybe they won't have any children available anyways. We shouldn't get our hopes up. When they met with Mrs. Floyd, however, they learned that there were 27 children who needed temporary homes. John and Marta were interviewed and were visited at their home. How many can you take? Asked Mrs. Floyd. How many? Maybe we should just start with one. How about two? I have a brother and a sister who need a home like yours. It's temporary, of course. Be sure you're okay with that. Probably about 6 months. Chapter 47. The brother and the sister who came to John and Marta's were 8 and 10 years old. Tyler and Zizi were as thin as rails and sullen, refusing to speak. Jacob wasn't ever gloomy like that, was he? John asked Marta the first night after the children were in bed. No, never. Are we ever going to look after a child who speaks? Shh, they can speak. To each other maybe, but not to us. They won't even look us in the eye, Marta. They're just scared. When do you think they'll stop being scared? Why are they scared? What should we be doing? John, good night. By the second week, John and Marta had learned that a pile of old lumber, a hammer, and some nails were a good outlet for a child's aggression. What are they making, John? I think it's a fort. They sure do like to hammer things. Jacob didn't hammer. He made music out of everything. By the third week, Tyler and Zizi were speaking to John and Marta. Their language, John said. Did you hear what they called their teacher? Where did they learn words like that? Oh, so now you want him to stop talking, John? I was just so used to Jacob, that's all. I mean, he was so different from Tyler and Zizi. Well, I guess every kid is different. It was the goats that finally softened the children. The goats nuzzled Tyler and Zizi and chased them and butted into them. Round and round the pasture, the children ran, shrieking with laughter. Early each morning, before the school bus stopped at the end of the drive, Tyler and Zizi ran to the barn and fed the goats. Each afternoon, when they returned from school, they raced up to see the goats. One night at dinner, Tyler said, "It's okay here." "Yeah," Zizi agreed. "It's okay." John looked at Marta. "Is that a compliment, do you think?" At the general store, Shep said, "I see you're buying jelly beans again. Did that kid come back?" John felt a stabbing heartache. He thought maybe he would think about Jacob less with other kids around, but he was thinking about Jacob more. He remembered every little gesture, every touch, every look on Jacob's face. When they took Tyler and Zizi to get new shoes and clothes, he remembered taking Jacob to the same stores and how proud the boy had seemed with his new shoes. "No," he replied to Shep. "These jelly beans are for different kids. We're fostering them." "Is that right?" John spotted a roll of tar paper. That would be perfect for the kids' fort, he thought. "I'll trade you here this belt for that roll of tar paper," he said. You're gonna run out of belts pretty soon, ain't ya?" John and Marta stood at the fence watching Zizi wrap her arms around a goat's neck. "You cutie," Zizi sang to the goat. "You cutie duty." "You hear that?" John said to Marta. "I think Zizi is turning soft." "Maybe," Marta said. "Of course, this morning she stomped on a caterpillar to bits and called it a creepy turd." "Oh, she's funny, that Zizi is." They could hear Tyler hammering on the fort on the far side of the barn. "Did you hear what Tyler called you last night, John? He called you good pa." "Is that what he said?" "I thought he called me gooba, and I thought it was an insult. Who'd ever guess kids could make you laugh so much?" "Jacob made us laugh." "Sure he did, but I don't think all kids could make you laugh. Marta, we haven't seen all kids yet." And in this chapter, okay, you can see that. So we know that this is a lapse in time. Okay, so what I'm going to start reading to you is a time change. Tyler and Zizi left one day in late spring. They'd all known this day would come, but that didn't make it any easier. "You can visit us anytime you want," Marta reassured them. "And you can write us too. We'd like that," John said. "And come visit the goats. They'll miss you." "So will we," Marta said. That night, Marta said, "I guess I'm always going to cry when a child leaves. Do you think we shouldn't take any more kids here? Do you think we should think about it more? Are we always going to feel so awful when they leave?" "Good night, John." The next morning, Marta called John into the room where Tyler and Zizi had slept. "Look there," she said, indicating the wall next to Zizi's bed. Zizi had drawn a heart beside this note. It was okay here. That's a compliment, right, Marta? Beneath each bed was a pair of shoes. "Look at that, John. They left their old shoes behind." "Makes me want to bust out crying. I found an old pair of Jacob's the other day, too." That evening, when Marta came in from planting her vegetable garden, she saw that John had built a shelf on one wall of their bedroom. On it were 3 pairs of shoes. All right, I am going to stop there. We will finish this book up tomorrow. So make sure you tune in tomorrow. So Jacob is gone. They did take 2 other children in to be their foster parents. The children were a little rough to start with, but they softened up. And John and Marta had a pleasant experience with them. But now they're gone again too. And John and Marta are wondering, is this something that we should keep doing? We're getting attached to these children, and then they're leaving. So we'll have to see what happens next. Like I said, we will finish this book tomorrow. All right, check your Canvas inbox for a link to Zoom, and I will see you in just a little bit. Bye, guys.